Hello everyone and welcome back to Argentinaasado. My name is Jason and today we are going to be doing the best ribeye sandwich, but we are going to be doing it with sourdough and we're going to be including some homemade chimichurri. As you guys know, I am very passionate about the Argentine food culture. I live in Argentina, I've been living here for 20 years, and this incredible piece of meat, which is the ribeye, and chimichurri in a sourdough is just gonna be a fantastic tasting lunch. We're gonna enjoy this with my friends and my family. And more importantly, I wanna share with you one thing, is that over the last 6 months, I have been trying to learn how to do sourdough, and I enrolled in a course a couple of months ago, and it has really just transformed the way I do sourdough. And again, it is being trial and error, and finally the last couple of months I've started to get some good results. So I'm going to be showing you guys here how I cook my sourdough and how I cook my ribeye and how I create the beautiful chimichurri that's going to go in that glorious sandwich. So stay with me for this video. If you like Argentine cooking, Argentine culture, if you like this type of videos, please share this with somebody or just drop me a comment or maybe give me some inspiration for my next video. I'll see you on the next one and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let's go. Okay, so step one for creating a great sourdough is having a great sourdough starter. Now, I have a few of these jars lying around my pantry, but basically this here has been the secret. And as I got better at this, my sourdough also got better. So basically, I've had this sourdough now for 4 months, and I've just been cultivating it. And of course, every time I bake a loaf, I keep a small amount and then I just keep refeeding it. This has been key to me succeeding at creating a good sourdough bread. But again, with this process, one of the things I've learned, and again, this is just a kind of a hack or a trick, is that instead of feeding it every 24 hours, I've been feeding it every 12, and I've always kept it in plus 20 degrees Celsius, and that has changed the quality of my sourdough starter. So that's something I've picked up. And the other thing I've picked up is if you open this lid and you smell it, it should taste citric. It should taste like salty citric, like fermentation, and that is a good sign. I didn't achieve that for the first couple of starters, and being consistent with this has just transformed the quality of my sourdough bread. So what we're going to do now is we're going to prepare the flour. We're going to prepare I'm going to talk a little bit about the amounts of flour and water, the proportions, and then we're going to get it integrated with our sourdough after an hour or two, and then we are going to do our ribeye steak along with this, and then we're going to have an incredible, fantastic ribeye steak sandwich in sourdough. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay guys, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to get our whole grain and our white flour integrated with some warm water. And one of the things I've learned, and this I think is called baker's proportions or baker's percentages, is I basically use, so if 100% is flour, I then go with 80% humidity, so 80% water, and you can do less. I think 75 or 76% is okay. But I've been gradually going up, and then I do between 15 and 20% of my starter, and that is the proportions I use for having a really nice wet dough. And it's very difficult to manage, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But the quality or the humidity of the dough when it goes into the oven, it just provides such more of a richer, consistent result versus more of a drier dough. So it's a little bit difficult to handle, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, 80% humidity, or between 75 and 80%. Obviously, I'm doing some whole grain and some white flour, and then about between 15 and 20% starter, depending on how strong your starter is. And that's the other also thing I've been doing is I have been using warmer water instead of cold water, and I've actually been getting better results as well. So there's a few tips, and again, this is something I'm new to, so I'll accept all of the feedback, as always. Okay, so here goes 350 ml of water. Here goes another 350 ml of water, and here goes the last 100 ml to make my 80%. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it in. I'm not going to knead it, I'm just going to mix it in until it's really consistent. And then I'll talk about when I add my salt and when I add my sourdough starter. Okay, so I've integrated all of the flour with the water, and as you can see, it's super humid dough. And basically, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this sit for around 1 to 2 hours before I put the sourdough and my salt into the dough. So I'm gonna leave it, let it sit. I'm gonna get my sourdough, I'm gonna keep it still in the jar. And then in about an hour or two, I'm gonna add the sourdough and I'm gonna start to integrate it over the next couple of hours slowly. Again, the idea isn't to knead it or to be too aggressive with the dough, because I felt that didn't always contribute to it being fluffy and airy. So here goes. I'll share in about an hour. I'll come back and I'll add in the sourdough once the liquid and the flour have properly integrated. Okay guys, so after leaving this for around an hour, just the flour and the water, as you can see, it's a super wet dough. It doesn't even pull away from the sides of the bowl. And excuse me by the mess on the outside of my bowl. So basically what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put 80% of my sourdough into the water and flour into the dough. So here goes. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is we're not going to actually knead this. We're just gonna like mix it in slowly. And then we're gonna come back like every hour and start to do folds, stretching it out and folding it in. And then, once we're done with that, we're gonna keep that going for 4 hours, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge overnight. And then tomorrow morning, we're gonna have the best dough to put in the oven. So now I'm just gonna mix this in. And again, just gently mixing this in. The idea isn't to knead this or overdo it. I just really want to see it's starting to pull away from the sides, but again, the important thing here is just to get the sourdough in there to start that fermentation process, which again, we're gonna first do it at room temperature, and then we're gonna leave it overnight in the fridge. And then we're gonna bring it out. We're gonna do one or two overlaps. We're gonna fold it a few times, and then we're going to put it in the oven tomorrow morning. Okay, so I'm starting to integrate it, and then I'm going to let it sit for a few hours, and every hour I'm just going to knead it. But again, I'm not gonna knead it as in push it into the worktop. I'm literally just going to create some nice folds and make sure it is nice integrated. One of the things I've learned about this is that the dough is so wet, it is so different to working with just a normal, you might say 70% or 60% hydration. The 80% or 75% hydration is just a whole different kettle of fish, to be honest. Okay, so I'm not gonna actually mix it in much more. I'm just gonna leave it there, really let it bind together. And now I'm gonna let it sit for around an hour, and I'm gonna come back every hour for the next 3 hours, and I'm just gonna start to create these initial, I'm just going to pull it over a couple of times every hour or so, and that's gonna help integrate it and bind it, and then we're gonna let it sit in the fridge for the night. So for the last 3 hours, I have been just taking that dough out that I've already obviously put the sourdough into, and I've just been pulling it out, stretching it, and just really just massaging that sourdough in. I haven't been kneading it, I haven't taken it out of the bowl, I've just kept using it inside the bowl, keep pulling out and just stretching it, and that's it. So for the last 3 hours I've been doing that. Now, what I've done is I've now put it in the fridge. After 3 hours of doing that process every 40 minutes more or less, I've now put it in the fridge. So we're gonna let it rise in the fridge, and this, you might say this proving stage or this process is generally going to take me between 10 and 12 hours. So right now, I think it is, let me just check, it is 8 p.m. So I'm going to get it out the fridge tomorrow at 8 a.m. more or less. And then I'm going to let it sit for around 30, 40 minutes to room temperature. And then I'm going to put it straight in the oven, in the Dutch oven. So yeah, stick with me, and I'm looking forward to how this comes out. Hopefully it's going to be absolutely amazing, and we're going to have a great ribeye steak sandwich and sourdough bread. I mean, what more can you ask for? And actually, I've just realized I think I'm going to use some provoleta, some grilled cheese, along with the chimichurri, so it's going to be absolutely amazing. Stick with me, guys, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We're going to take that dough out of the fridge, and we are obviously going to put it straight in the oven. See you tomorrow morning. See. Okay guys, good morning. So a little update is that I've taken the bread out of the dough, out of the fridge. It's been in the fridge since yesterday at 7 p.m. So it's been there for 14 hours. This morning it is 9 a.m. now. And I've already taken it out of the bowl. As you can see, it's still very difficult to maneuver, very difficult to manipulate, to shape. So what I'm doing now is I'm basically stretching it out and pulling it over. I'm gonna do that for probably around 10 minutes. And then I'm gonna put it back into the bowl to proof just at room temperature. And then in the meantime, I'm gonna start heating my oven and prepare my Dutch oven, which is where it's gonna cook, where it's going to bake, sorry. And the Dutch oven is fabulous. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna do like 27 minutes without the lid on, and then 27 to 30 minutes with the lid off. And that it gives you that really nice golden color. So yeah, that's the that's the next couple of steps. And ultimately, once we've got the loaf out of the oven, we're gonna let it rest for an hour and a half before we slice it up. So that's gonna give us time to start a fire and prepare a ribeye. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay guys, as I just said, all I'm doing right now is I am literally stretching it out and then just creating some folds, okay? So this to me is yes, this is quite a very sticky dough. If you're not used to doing this at the beginning, you're gonna get anxiety. But once you get used to it, it's okay. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm lifting it up, I'm stretching it out, and I'm just doing a couple of folds. Once I'm done with these folds, I'm gonna let it rest again and prove just at room temperature before I put it in the hot oven. And one of the key things is to take your Dutch oven and heat it up before you put in the dough. Okay, I'm gonna stretch it out. I'm gonna come all the way over. Look at that. The idea here is it should start to become more maneuver. See, it's starting to round off at the edges. That is a good sign, a very, very good sign. And the other thing you can do is if you push the dough, see that hole there? It doesn't bounce back up. That means that there is form and there is oxygen. And that is also a good sign to know if your dough is ready for baking. Okay guys, so what we're gonna use to bake the sourdough is this beautiful Dutch oven. Now, I've already put some flour in this. I'm actually gonna start to massage this on around the edge. But the important thing here is understanding the function that it plays in retaining the humidity. So this lid goes on, and we're gonna heat this up now in the oven, but this lid stays on for at least 27 minutes. Then we take it off, and then it cooks. You might say it cooks the top, and you get that really nice golden color. Okay, so we're just gonna put this, get some of this flour integrated to the surface. Then we're gonna heat it up in the oven for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're gonna put in the dough. Okay, so I've put the dough now in the Dutch oven, and I've scored it just across the top with my scoring knife, and I've already preheated the Dutch oven, so it's pretty much ready to go. And what I'm gonna do now is close it up, put the top on, and as I said, 27 minutes with the lid on, and I take the lid off so it really bakes the top surface and you get those that really nice crispy top section of the loaf. So here goes, I'm gonna put it in the oven and we're gonna come back in 27 minutes. Okay, here goes guys. I preheated the oven at 200 and we're gonna keep it in there for 27 minutes. We're gonna come back and take off the lid. We're gonna get another 27 minutes. Okay guys, so it's been in the oven now for 27 minutes and I'm gonna leave it in there for another 27 minutes, but it is really important that we take off the lid so it really glazes that, caramelizes that crust at the top. And what I do now, which is a bit of a trick I've picked up, is I take literally an oven rag, and this one's cold, and I put the Dutch oven on top of this oven rag, or this, it's just like an oven rag. So I basically put it on top of the oven rack for the next 27 minutes. Why? Because it stops the heat coming up, just slows it down a bit and stops it burning underneath, which I haven't had problems with, but I have seen in other videos people having problems with it, overcooking on the bottom, on the base, and then it making it really difficult to slice up. So that's why I put this on, and let's take off the lid and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've taken it out of the oven and I'm gonna take off this lid and then we're gonna get it back in the oven ASAP because it shouldn't be out here for too long. Okay, so as you can see, we're starting to see some bubbles coming through, but let's get that back in the oven ASAP. And this is where it's gonna really rise, and we're gonna give it that nice golden color on the outside. Okay, so it's been in the oven now for another 30 minutes. I get a little bit more than the 27, but to be honest, I don't really like the surface, how it came out. And I'm guessing two things. Maybe I went slightly overboard with the hydration level. But other than that, I think it's gonna be super tasty and it's gonna be great for our ribeye sandwiches. So I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna take it out of the oven now, I'm gonna show you the final product. Okay guys, so here's the loaf, and yeah, it actually looks pretty good, to be honest. Obviously the scoring on the top didn't really come out very good. I think it was because probably it was the hydration level was very high, and that's probably why I don't think the scoring came out very well. But other than that, it looks really good. We're gonna leave it here for like half an hour, 45 minutes just to rest, and then I'm gonna slice it up. So I've let it rest for like an hour and a half, and I've just sliced it up, and here goes. So we've got some nice oxygen in there, some nice air bubbles. Yeah, it's definitely a super well hydrated dough, so that's probably why we haven't got this crazy crispy surface here at the top. And when I scoured it, it didn't really how I like, but it looks great, and I think they're gonna be awesome sandwiches, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so we are now in the quincho. As you can see, I have prepared my fire. As you know, I always say that a great asado starts with a great fire. So I'm gonna go and light it, and then I'm gonna show you guys what I've got here. I've got my ribeye, I've got the whole ribeye section, which is great. And I'm gonna share a little bit about how I'm gonna cook it here on the grill. And I've also got my chimichurri, which I'll show you. This is gonna be awesome, zesty. And we've also got some sausages, some provoleta, I have some blood sausage, and of course, the homemade bread. So here I have my ribeye. It is around 6 pounds, 3 kilos. And basically we're gonna sear it for around 20 minutes on each side. And then when we're done, we're gonna slice it up into around 1 inch thick steaks. And then we're gonna sear it on each side of the steak. Get it super juicy, super tender, and really, really smoky. And then when we're done, we're gonna get our chimichurri, which we have here. And we're gonna put that in our freshly baked bread. And we're gonna make an incredible sandwich. I've also got some nice sausages. We've also got some blood sausage, and we've also got, as always, some provoleta. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. Fire's already started, so everything's good. I look forward to seeing you in the next step when we'll put the meat on the barbecue. Okay guys, so as you can see, fire is going well. I've got some vegetables in there. I've put some corn on the cob, and I've got some onions. I've put my sausages on. I don't know if you can see it there, but there's my blood sausage as well. So now I'm gonna put on the ribeye. Now, one of the things you're probably gonna ask me is, what side of the meat do you put on first? So I'm gonna show you that right now, but you put it on the silver skin for me down first, works better, and then you turn it over, and then we're gonna slice it up, and we're gonna just finish it on the barbecue, on the grill. But make sure that the grill is really hot. I've kept this grill probably, gotta hold my hand over it for about 6 seconds before it becomes uncomfortable. So that's a good, a good way to measure the heat. And yeah, let's get the ribeye on the grill.